Hello, and thanks for joining us for the Farming Today podcast. I'm Kaz Graham, and in this edition, 8 pence for a kilo of carrots. It must be Christmas. Why are vegetables always a festive loss leader?
It is all about trying to convert those consumers who are taking them from just buying a bag of carrots, but then they might pick up mince pies, Christmas pudding, maybe even a turkey from you instead of your competitor.
And we'll have more on the economics of cheap Christmas veg a little later. First, though, should the old grand houses that dot our countryside be regarded as vital heritage, which must be preserved, or are there other ways of dealing with them? Well, this week we're looking into what the future may hold for historic buildings in rural areas. On the Isle of Rum, off Scotland's northwest coast, Kinloch Castle is up for sale. It's a 20-bedroom Category A listed building, and it's on the open market for just £750,000, although it's estimated 10 million more is needed to restore the place. But could there be other options for it? Richard Baines has been to Rum to find out more.
We're coming in the back door of Kinloch Castle now, because the front door we can't get in because there's a ceiling collapsed. The castle was built around 1900 by Sir George Buller. His family had grown rich from the UK cotton industry and bought the entire 10,000 hectare island of Rum.
This gong is just in one of the main corridors into the place.
My guide to the lavish accommodation enjoyed by Sir George and his wife Lady Monica is Islander Elle Hutchinson.
This is the Great Hall, and the walls lined with deer heads.
There are some fantastic things here, like a very mangy looking lion skin.
Here, it actually doesn't have any eyeballs, which is a wee bit disconcerting. On top of this piano, it's a very gorgeous, impressive piano. It's massive. There's kind of some scratch marks on the top, and apparently it's where a lady jumped up on the piano with her high heels. Little dance during one of their parties.
The place is being sold with all its lavish contents by the Scottish Government's nature agency, which bought the island, castle and all, from the Bullers in 1957. The agency, now Nature Scot, says a private owner can better restore and use the castle. But is it all it seems?
We've kind of got a really good example just up on the roof there about how this building was built. What you're looking at there is kind of this rusted kind of steel beam clad in sandstone, and it's kind of the same way as, cotton mills would have been built. So it's not your kind of authentic castle, it's essentially a cotton mill with turrets.
The castle could be turned into a luxury hotel, an option favoured by island shopkeeper Stuart McKee.
Anyone who's willing to invest in it, anyone who's willing to put the time and the money and the effort into it, I would welcome it. This island, along with a lot of places up and down the west coast, are crying out for investment, more businesses and more people.
But not everyone agrees.
Just outside the house is a grassy area on the shore, so it's like a salt marsh.
Fliss Fraser runs her own holiday accommodation on the seafront here.
Everybody knows that the person who's got the most money has got the most power, and obviously with more staff working for the castle and becoming part of the community, but maybe not wanting to speak against their employer, that can create a power imbalance. So trying to create something positive out of an old building which isn't economically viable to restore. Letting a building decay slowly in a managed, safe way. In time, part of it could become a ruin. There are people on the island that would think it'd be better off just knocking it down.
So just how important is the building? Professor Florian Urban teaches architectural history at the Glasgow School of Art.
I don't think that it is an outstanding example of Victorian architecture. They chose the Scottish baronial style in a building that is anything but a castle. One could convert this house into housing for the local people there. There is no reason for keeping a Victorian ballroom as a Victorian ballroom if there are no Victorian balls anymore.
But Chris Donald from Nature Scot says the agency has little choice but to sell.
Scottish Government policy and guidance from Historic Environment Scotland is leading us to a position that actually managed decline and demolition is not an option. We have to realise this as an asset.
Despite a steady stream of viewing since it went on sale in August, no firm offers have been received for the castle.
Richard Baines reporting. Now, you may be looking forward to a duck or a goose on your dinner table this Christmas rather than the usual turkey. If so, spare a thought for those poultry farmers grappling with the effects of climate change. Extreme weather events mean it's become hard to predict how their birds will turn out come December. Ben Mosley is an organic farmer in Devon who rears ducks in small batches throughout the year and around 800 geese for Christmas. He's been telling our reporter Fiona Clampin what a tricky time it's been, especially with the added complication of having to keep the birds indoors.
So we need to dip our feet if we're going to go anywhere near the poultry. At the moment there's a lot of avian flu cases throughout the UK, and we need to be very tight on our biosecurity. Unfortunately, everything is in at the moment. We're not far from Christmas, but it's still far from ideal. Here's one batch of ducks. Plenty of straw, plenty of space, but they'd rather be out.
Tell me how the warmer weather has affected both the ducks and the geese.
The big issue we have at the moment in relation to climate change is the unpredictability of the weather. We're getting these extreme weather patterns. So last year we had such a wet winter and a wet spring, and that creates issues. Then this year we end up with a heat wave and an extremely dry summer. When the geese are at their time where they're wanting to be grazing lovely fresh grass, it starts to dry up and burn off. We're on heavy soil here, so the ground goes from a boggy mess through the winter into this sort of rock-solid clay. The geese are the same. They like to dig around in there, and when it comes in dry, they're not getting as varied a diet as they'd like.
There's a bit like us, we might want to eat salad, say, in the summer.
Well,
we lose our appetites.
Yeah, I mean, and you can't blame them for doing it. They'll quite happily just sit around in the sun. That's part of being an organic system, it is working with nature, but as a farmer, from year to year, it's not knowing. The only thing that's predictable is the unpredictability of it all, that from one year to another, you can't say, this is how I'm going to rear these ducks or the geese and know that they're going to hit these weights, whereas there's a lot of factors that go into that. And even this spectre that's continually looming above us of avian flu changes everything at the last minute. When they should be outdoors, suddenly you change everything and shut them up. So farmers have always been good at adapting, but we're finding we've got to be quickly reacting to things, and it's very difficult to adapt when things become that unpredictable. I think you can't get ahead of the game. We're trying to catch up.
Maybe we should go somewhere a little bit quieter, because they are making quite a racket. Going back to the bird flu, do you see vaccination as the answer, like they do in France?
Well, as human beings, we were told to take up vaccination for COVID. So, yes, if there's an answer with cattle, blue tongue, if there's a vaccine that's proven to work, then why not use it? I've had my flu vaccine this autumn, so why shouldn't my geese have one?
Ben Mosley, hopefully free from flu. The report by Baroness Minette Batters on farm profitability is expected to be published later today. Dame Angela Eagle, Minister for Food Security and Rural Affairs, confirmed it would be published before the end of the week when she appeared in front of the Environment, Food and Rural Affairs Committee on Tuesday. She described the review as a very substantial piece of work on farming profitability that is going to be influential. Baroness Batters was commissioned to write the report back in April and delivered it to DEFRA in October. Now, talking of profitability, here's an interesting cost of living fact for you. For the price of a first-class stamp, and that's what you'll need to use from today for any late Christmas cards, you could buy 21 kilos of carrots, 21 kilos, if you head to one of the discount supermarkets. The stamp would cost you £1.70 and the carrots are on sale at 8p for a kilo. Aldi starts selling a variety of veg for just 8p a bag from today, and tomorrow Lidl follow suit, matching those prices. The other major retailers probably won't go quite as low as that, but veg as a supermarket loss leader at Christmas is becoming almost as traditional as cranberry sauce and Wallace and Gromit. from it. And that's despite a difficult year for growers. Here's Ben Poskett from Poskett Carrots near Goole in East Yorkshire. They're currently picking 7 days a week and aim to have 1 million bags of carrots in the shops this Christmas.
It's very, very challenging to get the crop ready for the right time and get it to the right size. These carrots here were planted in April. They've been under a lot of stress this summer. We've had a serious drought this year, so they've had 6 or 7 passes of irrigation over the top of them, so they've been quite a costly crop to grow. The main thing we want at Christmas is smaller carrots for packing. But as a business, we do have quite a lot of customers. We've got maybe nearly 100 customers, ranging from retail all the way down to the dog food factory. So crop utilisation is key, and we have very little food waste.
Well, Grace Duncan, fresh food editor at The Grocer magazine, told me it's all about getting shoppers through the door.
Obviously, Christmas is a super important time for retailers and for all businesses who are selling to shoppers. They know that people are spending more than normal. And if you can get people through the door, because you've got this amazing deal where you can get 8p carrots and they might pick up mince pies, Christmas pudding, maybe even a turkey from you instead of your competitor.
Why is it always the veg that is used as a loss leader?
It's an easy headline win, isn't it, for the retailers? They have obviously got these long-term contracts with their growers. So the growers hopefully are not going to be losing out.
Well, you say hopefully. Are they likely to lose out?
In most supermarket contracts, they will be protected by this and the supermarkets will take the hit on costs. I think from a supermarket perspective, the veg isn't the most exciting part of the Christmas table. And while people may be willing to spend more on the more luxury items or the items that you think of as kind of those centerpieces, the stuff around the edges where people typically will say, well, a carrot's a carrot, can't really tell the difference, they're more likely to lower those prices. Whereas if you're one of the higher end retailers, you're trying to differentiate yourself out on turkeys and things like that and showing how much better yours are. Whereas there's not much you can really do with a carrot or a potato to show that yours is significantly better than your competitors, especially when they're all kind of coming from a similar group of suppliers. The farmers, it depends what contract farmers have with their suppliers, with their packers. Some will be more protected from this than others, but as your guest has already said, it has been a really hard year and supply is tighter than normal. So even if farmers are being protected by their supermarket buyers, I can imagine it's quite disappointing to see them devaluing their product in the eyes of the consumer.
Yeah, the optics aren't great, are they? That 8p for a kilo of carrots and 8p for 2 kilos of potatoes. You are fresh food editor at The Grocer. Doesn't it undermine the value of fresh produce?
Yeah, I think it does. And the retailers have done this for most Christmases now. They've also started doing it at Easter. And the concern, I think, across the board is it makes the shopper think, why am I paying so much more the rest of the year when I can buy this product for 8p at Christmas? What on earth is going on in the supply chain? And in other parts of the world, this can't happen. In many European countries, it's illegal to sell food under the cost of production to kind of protect that consumer price perception and protect growers who might be seeing what they produce go up and down on shelf. And that's the kind of thing that a lot of growers and grower bodies have been calling for, because it does really impact what consumers value in their shop.
Grace Duncan from The Grocer. And if you have any thoughts on cut price veg or anything else you hear in the programme, do get in touch. You can email us at farming.today@bbc.co.uk. And that's all we've time for this morning. I'm Kaz Graham. The producer was Sally Challoner. And Farming Today is a BBC Audio Bristol production.